Well, welcome back again. This will be installment 13 of the Panther project. Anyway, I'll show you a few of the things I've been working on the last couple of weeks here, trying to get things done up in between doing host projects and this and that. Anyway, let's get on with this. I had to make a front brake anchor for this Honda brake drum in these Panther forks. Anyway, I kind of think that probably what was in the Panther brake drum, or hub I should say, was a fork affair that would have went on either side of that fork stanchion to hold it. But anyway, I don't have that, so I had to make up something. So what I did was build this little clamp affair with a little torsion bar going down to the brake plate, so that holds everything nice and tight. And this is a real nice fit around that fork there. While I was at it, I welded a tab onto this upright for my fenders, and that made this fender really good and sturdy. There's no way that's ever going to move, unless it hits an immovable object or something like that. But plus another benefit of having that bolted to here was that this can never move up and down because it's bolted to that upright section right there. So, like I say, this is on here really good and tight. I'm really not worried about it moving, but having that bolted there makes it that much better. So that's going to be a really good brake anchor, and then I need to gear up a front brake cable for that. I also need to get a clutch cable done up, but I did find a cable that I can use. I'll probably do a little video maybe next time on actually soldering up cables, because there's a couple of little tricks to it. And there's a little speedometer drive gear that I picked up on eBay. That was actually fairly reasonable, which is kind of unusual for eBay. But anyways, now I should have a good speedo drive coming off of that front wheel. So anyway, got this all done up. I just got to tell you, this little stuff here, it doesn't look like much, but it took me like 2 hours to make that little bracket up just to hold that. And the stuff that you do by hand on these machines, it is time consuming. And speaking of time consuming, then I had to do up something for the back brake. My biggest problem was that where I'm using a Honda wheel for this, the brake plate on this wheel is on the right side, where the brake pedal is on the left side. So how to get the brakes from this side to that side without cutting or welding a whole bunch of stuff onto this frame, which is something I try to avoid doing if I can, because like I say, I don't mind modifying or people modifying these things. If you're going to do that, like I said before, try to do something that's easy to undo, which, in other words, just bolt on stuff, if you can. Now with this, what I came up with was a crossover tube that would hold a shaft to go through there, and all I needed to do was bolt it onto this through bolt that goes through the frame, and it goes through on each side. And it comes right through the other side, and there it is here. So anyway, so now I machined this up inside, 5/8 inside there, so that I could fit a 5/8 rod going right through it, and that's my actuator rod for the brake. Now, the trouble is, with this little job, I got a little bit ahead of myself. This brake is from a Norton Dominator. I had to cut about 2 inches out of here in order to get that looking like a nice fit in there, but that's fine. That's part of this project. What I made the mistake of doing was welding the shaft into the brake before I was finished work on the other end. Now, the other end has got this little lever mounted to the end of the shaft. The end of the shaft is filed and cut with a nice little square end on it. That wasn't so bad. The trouble was I also had to make a round end here in order to get a nut on there and hold this all together. So not being able to put it into lathe, I had to file and cut this section here into a nice round shape and measure it as I'm going to make sure it's the right size so I can get a 7/16 die down over there. Anyway, it did work out good in the end. I didn't have to grind off the weld on the end of the pedal and press it back out again, but I almost thought I was going to have to do that. But anyways, I managed to do that. Lesson learned from me. Haha. Anyway, meanwhile, I get easily sidetracked. I was looking at the transmission because, it's right there. And I had found a nice, reasonably good looking shift pedal for on it. But then I decided, well, geez, I'm just right here working. I'd like to put the Kickstarter on it. So I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and looked for the damn Kickstarter. And I know I have one because I took it off of I had a whole bunch of other Berman transmissions. And I was going through the box just selecting what was worth keeping and what wasn't. And one of the things I wanted to keep was a couple of the Kickstarters if I could. Anyhow, I couldn't find it. It's gone to Narnia somewheres or Neverland or something. Anyways, I did find this nice Yamaha, the folding kick pedal here, and trouble was it didn't have the right spline, of course, in it. It never would unless it was meant for a Berman box, but of course it's metric anyway. But anyhow, the hole here was a little bit too large to use at all. If it would have been smaller, that would have been great because I could have machined it out bigger. But anyway, I had to fill this all in with weld to build that up and make the hole smaller. Then I had to take this part here, hold it into lathe, machine out the inside of this hole to the right size, and then take my cross slide and move it back and forth on the lathe in order to get that 40-tooth spline in there. And I usually do that by, like I said, by moving the cross slide back and forth. It takes a little while, but it works. Anyway, so now I couldn't find that darn Berman Kickstarter, but hey, now I have a nice, really heavy-duty Yamaha one on there. And it folds away like it should. Tucks up real nice in front of that oil fill plug hole. And I think this will work really good for starting the engine. So anyway, then I got back at this. I realized that I hadn't been thinking when I was doing my engineering. Most of these Hondas, that rod right there that actually actuates the brake is under tension. In other words, you pull the brake to get it on, right? Well, this way here, I had to pull it. Now, I thought about re-engineering something, but I thought, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with pushing on that brake rod. The cams are the same either way inside the brake drum itself. So anyway, what I decided to do is I took a little trunnion here. I put it inside of this 1/2-inch tubing. And I ran it straight back. And I have an adjuster rod that's bolted solidly into the brake actuator arm. And in order for me to adjust this brake, that rod goes up inside of this tube about 6 inches. So when I want to adjust the brake, all I have to do is take that little bolt out of that trunnion, drop the brake down, turn it to adjust, when my brake comes on and off. And so anyway, yeah, I did up a very simple little, torque arm onto the brake drum there to hold everything. And anyway, I've got a back brake. So it's getting really close to being ready to get out on the road, or at least start it up and see what kind of funny noises it makes or what falls off of it. I still need to make a taillight bracket for that back fender. Oh yes, I need to finish up my foot pegs as well. Yeah, anyway, it's getting closer and closer and closer to that time that I might be able to sneak it out. And if it works good, if it does what I expect it to do, why then I'll be ready to tear it all down and clean it and paint it and get it all nice and shiny looking, and then I'll be able to actually use it on the road. But anyway, for now, this is where I'm at. It's almost spring here. It's officially, it'll be the vernal equinox, I think, the day after tomorrow. So anyways, I'm getting excited about getting the little fleet out on the road. There's actually 3 other bikes that I have out in one of the outside sheds there that are ready to come out too. I think I'm going to give the old ES2 a rest this year. I'm going to miss it because that really is a terrific old bike. But the other bikes out in the shed, they need to get ran too. So usually every year I pick one that I just put to bed for the year. And I think this year it's probably going to be that sweet old ES2. Anyway, tough decisions. Anyhow, like I said, that's it for this installment. If you enjoyed it, click the like button. It only takes a second. If you want to keep an eye on these videos when they come out, why all you have to do is subscribe. When a new video is put out, you'll get a notice. And you'll be able to watch what other kind of stupidity I'm getting up to. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a good one. Drive safe. Happy spring.